Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, actually leading into it, I was one of those people that was very skeptical. Like, I wouldn't believe it until it actually happened, because it had been so long. And obviously, in the past, there's always these rumors flying around that maybe he's going to come back and all of this. But when it actually happened, when you saw the music hit, everybody was just going crazy. And as soon as you saw him come out of the entrance, it was just one of those moments. You thought, wow. It'll go down in history as one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling, no doubt. But for me, he's one of my favorites of all time. So it was just a fantastic moment.
Yeah.
It's the Bush League Mud Show. It's the Bush League Mud Show. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Make some noise!
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
We got him.
How's it going, man?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you guys?
Good. We're good. It's been raining like cats and dogs here all day. Is that an expression you guys use over there? Raining like cats and dogs, or is that just some bullshit that us Yankees made up?
No, we use it. We definitely use it.
It is the Bush League Mud Show. Slade, PJ. We got a special guest on the line right now. He is an analyst for Sportskeeda Wrestling, also a contributor at Fansided, Give Me Sport, and a huge Burnley fan too. Is that right? Huge soccer or American football? Or no, our American football is different from your football over there. But you're a huge soccer guy, though, right?
Yep, huge. Go and watch Burnley pretty much every week when we're playing. I've been watching them since I was probably about 4 years old, something like that. My dad used to take me. And I've obviously just got into it over the years, and we're doing pretty well at the minute in the Premier League.
Okay, that was my next question. Yeah. As an American,
we got to say his name first. Danny Wolstanholme.
Yes.
We got to say his name. Danny, thanks for being a part of the Bush League Munch Show.
So it is.
Thank you very much, guys.
It's Premier, right? We Americanize it all the time. So I was wondering, Premier or Premier?
Well, we call it Premier.
Premier.
So I think it's different than your Americanized version.
Exactly.
So, Danny, you're about 6 hours ahead of us. Thank you so much, by the way, for giving us time coming on, chat. We've been trying to connect and break bread and chop it up on the line for the last couple of weeks, and we're finally connected. So thank you so much for that. Earlier today, we got the news here, at least, that Cristiano Ronaldo, he is coming back to Manchester. Is that news that anyone really gives a shit about right now? Or I feel like it was the worst kept secret in all of soccer.
I mean, it sort of sprung up on me. I wasn't really keeping an eye on what he was up to recently. And, I think there was something yesterday that suggested that he was going to go to the other Manchester team, Manchester City.
Oh, really?
So everyone was getting a bit excited about that. And then all of a sudden, obviously, he's now going back home to Manchester United, where, of course, he played for many years. But to be honest, I was quite surprised. So, it is a bit of big news.
Yeah. Speaking of soccer, somebody that owns a soccer team, or at least his dad does, Tony Khan, the family does. He also just so happens to own this wrestling company here in the States called AEW. Your reaction with, CM Punk, we're talking about worst kept secrets, and, everyone knows that CM Punk and pretty soon Bryan Danielson will be there. What was the reaction for you? One thing to know that Punk was coming and they were teasing it, they were dropping little subtle breadcrumbs about it, but then to actually see him, to see a pop that you just don't see that much anymore with pro wrestling. What were your thoughts when you saw CM Punk show up to Rampage last week?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, actually leading into it, I was one of those people that was very skeptical. Like, I wouldn't believe it until it actually happened. Because it had been so long, and obviously in the past there's always these rumors flying around that maybe he's going to come back and all of this. But when it actually happened, when you saw the music hit, everybody was just going crazy. And as soon as you saw him come out of the entrance, it was just one of those moments. You thought, wow. It'll go down in history as one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling, no doubt. But for me, he's one of my favorites of all time, so it was just a fantastic moment. Yeah,
you know what? You're absolutely right. It will be a moment. That will definitely be a stamp moment for AEW. Here's the sad part, is that wrestling, in terms of television viewers, doesn't draw the same crowds that it used to. So, you think about those shocking moments or those moments that you'll never forget. This was at a time when wrestling was still on average between the two shows of, let's just call the Attitude Era, for example. Between the two shows, you're talking close to 8, 9, some weeks 10 million people watching. This, they just came out with the ratings here in the States, and it was, about 1-1, 1-2.
1-2.
And it
Which
was like,
Friday nights,
right,
pretty decent.
It's Friday night. I'm not sure how it is over in Britain, but over here, like, Friday night is considered like death row for television. So that's pretty good, but it's like, that's a moment for pro wrestling fans that a lot more people should have been able to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, for us over here, the show Rampage started at 4:00 in the morning.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, it was a late one last Friday.
Did you have to record it? Did you have to record it and watch later? Or did you actually watch it live?
Yeah, no, I watched SmackDown first because I was covering it for fan-sided Daily DDT. So I sort of quickly wrapped up that and put on Rampage, and there he was making his entrance. So it was, even though I was half asleep, it sort of perked me back up after SmackDown, because I thought that was pretty much a repeat of the week before, which wasn't the best.
We talk about that on the podcast every single week. We absolutely, it's to the point where we dread doing Raw reviews because it is literally the same show.
Yes.
Every single week. And then even worse than SmackDown, it's an extra hour on top of that. And it's just like, oh my goodness. For AEW bringing in Punk and eventually Bryan Danielson, where do they go from here? Do you think that they're starting to load a little too heavy on the top? Because the big rumor is that Adam Cole, and that's a dark secret right now, no one really knows for sure, but it appears like the last NXT takeover in Vegas was his last thing with the company. And if I'm him, I'm on a jet first thing smoking out of there after watching what they're doing with Karrion Kross and all of that. I don't want any parts of that. But as a fan, I also don't want to see Adam Cole in AEW right now either, because I feel that there needs to be a story playing out with the guys they're currently pushing. And I feel like a guy like Adam Cole would get lost in the shuffle. So what, if you were booking this, how would you do it right now? With Punk and Danielson coming in, they just brought in Christian Cage. You're still trying to get Kenny Omega on the mainstream scale here in America. Because right now, I mean, it's mainly just indie darling fans that really are into Omega. But Omega, I think they've done a poor job of really, okay, on top of this guy can work in the ring, okay, let's add some more sauce to it. So if you were booking this, if you're Tony Khan, you're booking this for AEW, how would you play this thing out?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, for the point that you made about the actual roster, I think it is getting a bit too stacked at the minute now. Mm-hmm. I went on I think Wikipedia the other day just to see the list, and it is an unreal list now of talent, which you wonder, if it was on the flip side with WWE, you'd see a lot of those not getting much television time, and like you say, people getting lost in the shuffle and everything of that nature. So it is quite a concerning feeling as well. Obviously, as well, I think Bray Wyatt as well. His name's been thrown about as coming in down the line. But yeah, in terms of Kenny, I think it's going to be a big rest of the year for him to see where he can sort of go. And now with Punk and obviously Bryan set to come in, I think this is his time now to face these guys and to show what he's all about to the U.S. audience.
I was talking to PJ about this over the last couple of weeks, and the point that I made, because there were the reports over the last several weeks that Kenny's also been dealing with nagging injuries, and I thought, okay, maybe that might be part of why, on top of the fact that Impact probably wanted someone that could be on their television program every week, maybe to defend their belt like Christian Cage, which we'll see how that plays out. But with the nagging injuries and with Punk and Danielson coming in and all these other guys, they're starting to move some things around the storyline. Darby Allin is huge right now for the company. Would this be a pretty good time for Omega to kind of go away for a little bit, get rested up, and then come back with a bang and then go after some of these guys? Because I actually like Kenny Omega as a heel, as long as he's just with Don Callis. I'm not a big fan of him with the Elite. I think it just goofs up. Like, I think he cuts great promos as a heel. I think adding Callis, just him and Callis, I think it's great. Just get rid of Anderson Gallows in the Young Bucks. I don't need that. I think he's done a really good job in terms of that. But I think in terms of where you go from here with Omega, like, I don't know. Is it time for him to just kind of, he's getting lost. Is it maybe not a bad idea to kind of just let Omega eventually drop that belt, just go away for a couple of months and just come back with a bang?
Yeah, I think that would be a solid idea, to be honest. And I think that's something they're doing similar now with Cody Rhodes, if I'm not correct. He's taking a bit of time away.
We're not in a rush to see Cody back, though. That's the only thing.
That's right. After he declared war over England, that Ogogo crap.
He beat Anthony Ogogo, and we barely seen him since.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's a shame for him, but yeah, I can see something like that potentially happening with him. Because, like you say, with all these big names coming in, his name is going to be not, as relevant as these guys that are going to be sort of climbing up now and taking that spotlight. So it may be something that they would want to do to take him out of the picture for a little while, to have that big return and change the game a little bit more. But yeah, I certainly agree as well. I do love him with Don Callis. Absolutely brilliant, those two together.
Yeah. SummerSlam, growing up, it's always been that WWE Summerslam, Danny, is the WrestleMania of the summer. You always would get a stacked card that was on par with Mania, maybe not as, as glamorized as, but at least the stacked card. We've seen this trend for the last decade where they just kind of more and more every year kind of give you the jab and the FU, and we'll do what we want when we want because we're WWE, and we know that the few people that are still watching are going to continue to watch, and you're going to buy our merchandise. What did you think of this SummerSlam? I thought it was just very arrogant and rude and disrespectful on their part and hurting the fans' feelings to continue to build and promote a Sasha Banks Bianca Belair WrestleMania rematch at SummerSlam. You knew this clearly a week or two at least ahead that she wasn't going to be on the card. She's not. We just randomly bring in Becky, which is fine, but the circumstance was just like, did we really have to Kofi Bianca Belair? Now, I think Bianca is strong enough of a champ that you could get away with beating her in that way, but I just thought it was a little tacky how they did it. What were your thoughts on SummerSlam and that whole thing and how it played out? Because I thought it was a really lackluster show. I just didn't give a damn for it.
Yeah, well, to be honest, when SummerSlam started over here, because I'd been up the night previous, obviously with SmackDown and Rampage, I was already feeling a little bit tired. So I may have fallen asleep early on through SummerSlam, but I didn't.
Nobody would blame you.
No, no, but yeah, obviously I caught up with it, and I thought it was a pretty slow start. I thought some things hit, not many things. Yeah. Some did.
Thought Rollins and Edge by far had the best match on the card.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
That was number one for me, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant match. But yeah, the whole Bianca thing for me just sucked, didn't it? All around. Yeah. Like you say, to advertise a match that pretty much everybody knew wasn't going to happen anyway, to actually announce it just as the match is supposed to happen, I thought was a pretty... not the right way to do it. I saw a couple of fan videos the other day from YouTube. You could just hear like a sort of deflation in the crowd when the announcer made that announcement that it wasn't going to happen. Of course, happy to see Becky back. I think she's great. But it could have played out a lot better than it did, like you say, to put all of your eggs in the basket for Bianca, how they've been building her up since obviously before Mania, after Mania. She's been probably, for me, one of the highlights of watching SmackDown every week. And then for that to just end, like that so quickly was just disappointing. But, obviously there's going to be a story coming out of that. But the initial feeling for me was of disappointment.
The worst thing that I took from SummerSlam, I'm sitting here and I'm like, number one, why is Lashley and Goldberg going longer than 5 minutes? This should be a match that should. And then you watch how it plays out. And I'm like, all right, this shit really sucks. Goldberg should not be in the ring anymore. He's still, to a degree, he still looks the part, but in the ring, he just can't get it done anymore for a guy who only had 3 to 5 moves to begin with. And then the part where I popped, I don't know about you guys, was when he put his son in the Hurt Lock. And I'm like, all right, yes, let's do that. And then it dawned on me, Danny, these fuckers are going to have a rematch.
And you know where that's going to happen, right? It's going to happen in Saudi because they want Goldberg.
I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, again, it shouldn't have gone that long. And to have him, just with the whole leg thing, and then, it wasn't something that I enjoyed. That's right, the knee injury. Yeah, I did particularly enjoy when he got the son in the lock. That was it even got a big cheer from the audience as well, didn't it? Yeah. Which was probably the reaction.
It just goes to show that the stuff that they want you to boo, we actually enjoy, and the stuff they really want you to cheer for. A lot of people are just like, no, we're not going for it. The Nikki Ash got booed out the building, and I feel bad for her, but it's not. That may have gotten over 20 years ago with Molly Holly being Mighty Molly. It was great, but it was done a little bit more. You knew up front that it was comedy, and we all knew that Molly Holly under that gimmick was never going to be like a true champ in the sense where we take it as with credibility. The Nikki Ash thing, I felt bad for her. It's a goofy gimmick, and they got their answer in terms of how fans feel about it at SummerSlam. So that's, with that. Last question before we let you get out of here, because it's Friday night. We're not sure what your plans are there. You're 6 hours ahead, but what does Paul Heyman do? His top guys are there. And my idea was you keep them as separated as far as possible, and you have a backup, because I think people are still anticipating that we will get a Roman Reigns Rock match at Mania. But in the event that Rock can't do it, Reigns and Lesnar would be your obvious option. But my idea would be to keep them separated. Let Paul have the top guy on both shows. Even if Lesnar's only back for, what is it, reportedly just 8 times, or he's only making 8 appearances. I think that's the word. But would you have it Roman as Paul's guy on SmackDown and Brock as Paul's guy on Raw, and just keep them? Because I don't need a Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match right now, especially after you've had Lesnar squash him so many times and beat the hell out of him over the years.
Yeah, no, definitely, and with that, we'd also get the match that I think we've wanted to see for a long time against Lashley Lesnar.
Yeah.
But is that a match you really want to see, Danny?
What was that? Sorry,
I said, is that a match you really want to see? I think on paper and looking at the visuals of Lesnar Lashley, I'm like, okay, it's appealing in terms of visually, and I feel like it'd be one of those matches that you want to see until you actually saw it, until the bell actually rang. I don't think we're really, you know what I mean? But they have options at least. Lesnar back gives them options.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I'd like to see how it played out if Lashley Lesnar got in the ring just to see. But like you say, visually and sort of thinking about it, this could be like a great battle between these two guys. It's one that I would like to see, which will probably end up being at WrestleMania at this rate, won't it? If Reigns is going to be facing The Rock. But yeah, the whole Heyman dynamic, it's always a strange one with him. Because he had it a few years ago, didn't he, with Punk as well, where he obviously turned on him eventually. But yeah, it probably would be good to keep them separate. But the Saudi Prince has been calling, and he wants to see it next month, I think.
Yes, he does.
Well, the Prince also wanted Yokozuna,
Andre, and
also wanted Andre. Yep. Yeah, the Prince apparently didn't get the memo that all these guys have been dead for about a quarter of a century. So We'll see how it plays out.
Maybe we'll see Sergeant Slaughter on the card coming up.
Danny Wolstanholme of Sportskeeda Wrestling, also contributor at Fanside and Give Me Sport. Dude, we got to do it again sometime, man. I'm so great chatting with you finally, and we hope that you'll be able to speak with us two fucknuts eventually down the road soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to finally get on, and I'd love to definitely come back in the future.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Thanks, bud.